Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Z to X. I'm here again, believe it or not, joined by my mother. Say hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello. Today, what will we be covering?
We are going to do which everybody's covering, the famous Katy Perry,
We're taking off.
astronaut, astronaut flight. But it's not just Katy Perry, and we're kind of looking into why people are up in arms about it or making fun about it. You know, like why she's getting so much flack, and
Yeah.
others on the flight are getting so much flack.
hmm
So that's kind of what we're going to look into. A quick one.
Yeah.
And then we're going to do another one, another video later this week, right, Ryan or Dallin, about what are we
about
going to do the video?
yeah
A
we're
game?
yeah not a game. We're gonna be doing probably this week
Oh,
or
the
next
other
week. We're gonna be
podcasts.
doing
Yeah.
next week probably a video on iDubbbz and Ethan
Yeah.
Klein with H3H3.
Well, I just want to
Um,
give people a heads up because you're researching a lot with that, and
yeah,
I can't wait to I
I'm
can't wait for you to fill me in on it.
yeah.
Anyway,
All
we'll
I'm
go
all
back
I'm
to
saying with
this.
that story is that there might be a lot more to it because looks like some people there might be a whole interview about that. So it's gonna be big. That's gonna be a long one.
Oh yeah, it'll be
Um,
interesting. I can't wait till you share it with me.
but
All
however,
right,
we're talking about Katy Perry right now.
we're talking about Blue Origin
Yeah, all right.
and
Tell
Katy
me,
Perry.
tell me what happened. Give us the whole rundown, just in case someone doesn't know.
Oh, I don't know how anybody would not know. So, Katy Perry, I think this is what she kind of set the stage, I think, for being kind of dumb about it. And I mean, we can all agree she's a good singer. Everybody likes her music. But I think being a global spokesperson for this was not a very good thing. And then Gail King, which she is actually on, I think she's on the morning show. Maybe it's in NBC. Let me
Yeah.
look up what Gail King is on. Um, she is a really good friend of Oprah. Like I think the best friend. She is on CBS, and then they also had Laura Sanchez, which is Bezos. What's his first name? The guy that owns
Jeff Bezos.
Jeff Bezos. Yeah, Jeff Bezos's fiance. And then, but you hear more about these women, right? But there's actually three other women who are. So you have Aisha Bowe, Bowe. I think it's Bowie or Bow. She's
Bowie,
actually,
like
yeah,
David
she's
Bowie.
actually, okay, that's what I thought it was too, like David Bowie. She actually is, she's in STEM, and she's also does a lot of work with space
Wait,
too.
I just wrote that's kind of funny. You got a Bowie, and then one of David Bowie's most popular songs, Space Oddity, right?
Oh, that's true. How funny is that? So she is, I think, let me see what her background is on this. Yeah, so she's a former NASA rocket scientist and entrepreneur, and
Wow.
she helps globalize STEM. So we don't hear a lot about her, and she is the black woman.
Yeah,
Besides Gail King,
I'll
she's
throw
also
the
the other
screen
woman.
on of because they
Yeah.
um
And then the next woman is Amanda Nugent. Is that how you say her last name?
Nguyen. It's
Nguyen.
Vietnamese.
She is also a bioastronomic research scientist, and she's got MIT and NASA.
Very
She's
impressive
worked with
lineup here.
astrophysics. Her resume is amazing, okay, right? And then, of course, then you have Gail Keane, Katy Perry, and then you have also Carrie Ann Flynn, who also is I think she's a writer and a producer. So she might have been going up there to probably um, research something, is what it seems like. She has spent the last decade channeling her energy into building through broad service non. Okay, she's a philanthropist. That's all she is.
She probably helped fund it
She
for
is
her.
nothing to me. I'm sure she's a lot. I'm sure she does more than in her life than I do. But anyway, and then Laura Sanchez, who actually used to be, how they actually met is because I think she was an interviewer, and she also did research and stuff like that. Um, but now she is writing children's books about space flight. And I mean, I have to say, there's one thing that kind of was disheartening is that everybody did make fun about everybody's plastic surgery, all the women on the ship. They're like, oh, their faces didn't change or anything when they went past the stratosphere, but they didn't go past the stratosphere. They didn't do any of that. They just went right to the barrier. I looked it up.
I mean,
and nobody was piloting the ship. It was an automatic robotic pilot because they don't go through into space. So they can do that.
All of them do. But also with the plastic surgery thing, I'm not gonna lie. It's like, have you ever heard Bill Burr's quote on it?
No.
What would you rather be? 52 and look 52, or 52 and look like a 28-year-old lizard?
I know. Well, see, and that's your Gen Z. You get to see this and see what it looks like when old women do that.
Because plastic surgery finally, like, it became big, and we finally been able to see the results of it.
So everybody's making fun because Katy Perry, whoever came out, I don't know who the interviewer was who said this to her, but they're like, "You're an astronaut now," and she's like, "Thank you." Just it's like, no, honey, you're not an astronaut. You went on a ride. Whoever PR'd this, acting like it was the first female space crew. No, they went on a ride. They weren't a crew. They were on a ride, basically. I mean, and then Gail Keane, which normally I like her too. She was like, "How dare you criticize us? That's sexist," which is stupid. That is another stupid thing.
I think
you can
that is
criticize all you want. It has nothing to do with you being females. It has everything with you guys propping up the dumb people.
I think that if Pedro Pascal,
women who were know what they're talking about.
I think that if Pedro Pascal went up into space and started doing the shit Katy Perry did and when she came back down, I'd be like, wow, what a dumbass. Yeah.
Right?
Also,
they would make fun of him too. And I was gonna also say that what else was I gonna say about that? It is kind of not very nice so that they make fun of their faces. But they kind of set themselves up. I mean, okay, why didn't Katy Perry goes, it was the coolest feeling not to have G-force and not to feel gravity. They didn't explain how it felt. They didn't say, oh my God, my face felt like it was going backwards when I was being launched through the G-force. How did the G-force make you feel? How did it feel when you were weightless for 4 minutes? I mean, they acted like,
Or have you ever heard, like, what's it called? The overview effect? Like, when people talk about it, when they're like, when I looked down at space, I felt like I was truly, I was truly in awe at what I saw and below, the visage of Earth.
Did that, but Katy Perry said, I feel love. Okay, whatever. But that's not what I want to know.
Here's the thing: I want to know. It's an opposite of what, because a lot of the original astronauts that did it, they felt humbled because they're like, "Wow, I'm so small." Meanwhile, a lot of these new astronauts, which by the way, I want to get into that in just a second, but like a lot of these new astronauts here are like, oh my God, look, they're basically like, look how big I am. All you guys are little ants beneath me is what I feel like it is. But here's the thing is that when they call themselves astronaut, they're like, you're an astronaut. No. So astronaut
She should have said that. She should have said no, but thank you for letting me have the experience.
I'll explain it why specifically they can never call themselves an astronaut, even though they get the pins. If you see it, that was given out by Blue Origin themselves.
That was the thing too that I think people freaked out because now they have a whole patch with their names on it.
Let me explain real quick. Is that so astronaut used to be, the definition is just someone that has gone to space. That is all. Cosmonaut, same thing. However, after all of the institutions of space and the the main ones, the actual guys that do space exploration saw that Blue Origin was doing their little ride stuff, and we're like,
that's what I just said. It's because of the Blue Origin rides.
Let me continue, please. But sorry, just I'm just trying to get this out. Is that they're like, oh wait, we can't let that, like, that's insulting to the art of space travel. So they changed the definition from someone that goes into space into someone demonstrated activities during flight that were essential to public safety or contributed to human space flight safety. If it's automatic, that does not have any sort of definite, it's basically not at all like the definition of what Blue Origin.
They just went on a ride. That was the whole point. I knew what you were saying. Thank you for giving me the definition.
Well,
Anyway, So I was just saying that. So that's why people were upset about it. Why?
The people were upset,
Because
yeah, because they think themselves so high and mighty and attributing to themselves to actual astronauts, and especially, oh my god, the kissing the ground thing. Like, I'm so thankful to be
well,
back on the ground.
I mean, I actually don't find that weird because I find like when you go on a ride, because let's face it, it was like a ride. You're thankful to be back on Earth,
Yeah,
but but it just kind of seemed more of a production instead of a
yeah,
reality. I mean, they all seemed like it was just a
a show.
prop show. And it was sad though that they didn't talk to the women who were actual STEM research and astronaut and
I
didn't
haven't heard
prop
anything
them
from
up.
them.
No. And I'm sure that, they're the smart ones. Why did Katy Perry get all of the show and it made it just look stupid? Because, I mean,
Yeah,
let's face it, after she spoke about all this, she sounded kind of dumb. It's like, Katie, you're a great singer. Clearly, you're a very good songwriter and you're a great performer, but astronaut, you are not one. And
yeah.
nor do you speak like one because you
Also,
spoke like you were
yeah, I also really don't think
kind of,
Katy Perry is that good of a person either.
well, I don't know if she is or not personally, but they sounded, let's face it, her and Gail King and even Laura Sanchez sounded elitist.
Yeah, they are.
It's like, and then I think Katy Perry went on to say like it showed her being closer to Earth and make sure that Mother Earth is protected. How much carbon did you just freaking use by
Oh
going
my
up
god,
there on your
I'll
ride?
Google it real quick. Let me check. How much fuel does take to get into the atmosphere? Because that's the most difficult part, is getting to the atmosphere.
Well, they didn't ever leave the atmosphere. I don't think they
Yeah.
stayed within the barrier.
They stayed within the barrier, but even getting up, because once you're in the atmosphere, it's much easier. But getting there is most of the work, you know.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah, you're
that
right.
the Falcon 9 space rocket from SpaceX, typically, even if it's only half of this, it's ridiculous. Uses 902,000 pounds of fuel. Pounds.
Ugh.
That is, uh,
Yeah.
and I can probably check Blue Origin. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Right here. 550,000 pounds.
Yeah. Well, they're not saving anybody on the Earth on that one. I mean, if they called it out, I think if they just said that was the wonderful experience that we were blessed to be in a position
Yeah.
to do that most people in this world will never be able to experience, and instead they acted like they were better and they were these astronauts, and even Gail Keen by telling people that how dare you make fun of them because they're women. I mean, right there you just again looked like an elitist,
Yeah.
that most people won't be able to do this, male or female. I mean, I really couldn't care less that they were women, but these other women, the Ashia, Amanda, and what was the other one? Kyrian Flynn, or at least the ones
Yeah.
that Ashia and Amanda are. I wanted to hear more about them. I mean,
100%. Like,
had they been out in space before? Was this their first flight? Was this? I
yeah.
mean, they didn't fly it. It was a non-piloted shuttle, basically.
Yeah, we're
And
these
people
space tourists,
saying that,
like
yeah,
what?
I mean, people said it was like a ride, an amusement ride, and I think they were correct. I mean, it is a cool experience and good for them that they got to do it. But again, I don't think that they showed very much humbleness in the whole situation. And they didn't, again, give anybody information. They're like,
Yeah.
they could have gone off and said, oh my God, that was the coolest experience to not feel gravity. It
Yeah.
was so amazing. They
Also,
didn't act like that at
yeah.
all.
Also, the
What would you say
ladies.
again about how the other astronauts used to look at and say when they saw Earth, like, that kind of humbling.
Yeah, like, yeah,
Even
like,
Will Shatner was more humble, and that dude is not known to be humble. He was humbler when he said that he came down and he was like, "Oh my God, I saw the Earth and the world, and I thought, oh my gosh, I'm a peon. This means
Yeah.
nothing. My life is, what I do is there's so much more." That's
yeah,
just,
yeah,
I
yeah,
think,
exactly.
why.
The planet is as tiny, beautiful, and fragile as a pea or a sheet, is what oftentimes people say. From space, you realize how small and interconnected we are.
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah, hold up. Edgar Elliot, or not Elliot, Edgar Michael, Apollo
Uh-huh.
14 astronaut. You develop an instant global consciousness, a people orientation, and intense dissatisfaction with state of the world and a compulsion to do something about it. From out there on the moon, everything just looks so petty. And
everything on Earth.
Just Neil Armstrong. It said, it suddenly struck me that tiny pea, pretty and blue, was the Earth. I put my thumb and shut one eye, and my thumb blotted out the planet. I didn't feel like a giant. I felt very, very small.
Yeah. See the differences, and I don't know. Maybe whoever interviewed them or the PR people just did not freaking. Maybe they just let them be themselves. Maybe they are elitist queens. Who knows? They came across as sounding that. So, do I think that they need flack for it? I think people can do whatever they want. They can give them flack if they want. I don't care what Gail Keane says. It's not sexist. They kind of made asses of themselves. And two, I think that it was very elitist because it costs like $200,000 to go up there. Who's paying for that?
16 million actually.
Yeah. Well, no, I think this for one ride, it's like
because also I was just
200,000.
doing the math here, and I was looking at it because they use a liquid nitrogen, liquid hydrogen, and liquid oxygen solution compared to gasoline in a car that like per year. Basically, like in total, the amount of gasoline that they use would equivalent to about 600 years of someone driving a car. Or if, let's say, public transport, right? You're messing with public transport here. That's equivalent of a bus being able to run for 240 years. 10 buses for 24 years each. Isn't that crazy to think that in your one little ride, and you're talking about global climate, you could have basically have paid for, or like the amount of fuel you used was equivalent to like literally 24 years of public transport for a city. That's crazy to me, right?
Yeah. I mean, and so they can't turn around and say, oh, the earth needs to be cleaned, and after you did all that for just your little, 11 minutes. They were gone for 11 minutes. They had zero gravity for 4. Again, I'm going to go back to saying that why didn't you give us some information on actually how the trip was and how amazing it was instead of me, look, I'm so cool.
Yeah.
Or kumbaya, my love, that kind of, it was just really weird. Now, some people made fun again. I don't think they should have made fun of their looks because that was kind of stupid.
Yeah.
Or she had a Daisy, but her daughter's name is Daisy, and I thought that was kind of cute. She's just showing her daughter is with her, I think. But all in all, do they kind of deserve being made fun of?
I think that
yeah. I think it was stupid.
I think Katy Perry deserves to be made fun of. Katy Perry.
And I think Gail Keane, because she's so pissed off at the pushback, she deserves it too, because she should have said, oh, I wanted to push up these other women who were STEM, who were awesome, not us, because they're not these intellectual astronauts that it takes the intelligence to be able to be someone who works in that field.
And that's why
those two women are not it.
Yeah, that's why all of the things, they changed the definitions, because we're like, we cannot allow some rich guys that like celebrities to pay like $1 million and declare themselves an astronaut. That just is not acceptable.
Exactly. I understand why you were talking about that and making the definition known now that it's changed. Just because you go into space, you're not
you're not an astronaut, and that's why it's so funny when they call themselves astronauts, because you are not an astronaut. You can never be one.
Yeah, and the crew, and the way that the PR was, that they said the crew.
Yeah.
They're not. They're on a ride with a robot.
Because
the robot is driving them, and they're not a crew. They're passengers.
Yeah,
the passengers. And I know people, this is semantics, but it does make a huge difference in people.
Yeah, I mean, effectively, you're like, it's just a robot driving it. Like, I'm sorry, Katy Perry. I'm afraid I can't do that.
I know.
But, and I think it's important because they're like, oh, this is the first female astronaut flight in, 50 years or something, and it's like, it can't be defined as that.
It's just it's not astronauts, it's the first female passengers, all passengers in one robotic flight. Why couldn't they be honest like that? Do you know what I mean? And that's okay. That was okay saying that. Just say, hey, we just took an awesome flight as passengers on this robotic trip. and it was all female. But even then, it's kind of stupid, and I think that's why everybody went, whatever.
Yeah,
We're over it.
Yeah, like whatever, man. Because
you're not. I mean, it's Katy Perry and Laura Sanchez and Gail Keane. You mean nothing to us. The other three, let's talk about.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, but that's
also,
how it is.
like, before we close up here too, I just think also the average person kind of looks at it with apathy, because it's like, you know, the average guy goes to his 9 to 5 in his little
that's what I said.
car.
It's
an elitist. Yeah, exactly. It's so
thing.
elitist, and they see like someone like Katy Perry like acting so like effectively over dramatic and making it like me over this like such an expensive trip that like. Yeah. And they're like, I drive to work in my little car, and I work my ass off.
I take public transportation. I will never even be able to see what $1 million looks
and you complain about me, about my car, and my like everything I do while you're doing this, and it makes them go like, ugh.
Yeah, I think the average people are pretty much so over with that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. They're like, I don't want to see your elitist thing thrown in our faces. And again, I think then a lot of people got pissed off at like Gail Keane because she said, don't criticize us because we're women. And everybody's over that too. They're like, just because you're a freaking woman doesn't mean I can't criticize you.
100%. And Katy Perry's got a lot of criticism. To end off, I'll tell you guys, if you really want to know something really bad she did, it's not really related to this story, look up the Katy Perry Act. There was a whole law named...
Took those houses.
That took the houses, and the nun literally, like, was like, please don't, and it directly led to her death, as in court, this 80-year-old nun basically died of a heart attack right there.
Yeah, people should... So,
because of
you're
the
right.
mental torment.
That was pretty rude of her. All right, that's a good one for people to research.
Yeah, research into it. It's crazy.
Pretends to be. All right. That's it.
That's about it.
I think we're done. A quick one. Katy Perry.
Quick Katy Perry.
Gail Keane and Laura Sanchez.
Well, that was longer than our trip up to space. All right. I'll see you guys later.
All right.
Bye-bye.